All right, I wanted to do a little recording to show you how to measure intensity across an image. What I have here is a couple otoliths that I saved or am using as a TIFF file, so the same way you saved them. I did adjust the contrast a little bit, but you can do that within ImageJ as well. So I've opened them up in ImageJ. We can see what looked to me like pretty good otolith marks, thermal marks that is. Not all of your images look this good. It's hard. I spent a lot of time last night trying to find the thermal marks and trying to match them up with the thermal marks that we were expecting. Make sure that you are using the thermal marks that go with 2021 and 22 fish, so 11/21 and January of 22. Those will be the marks that are relevant for us because those are the fish that are returning as age 3 now. I think you had a couple that were different ages, but most of our fish should look like this, and the thermal mark pattern is going to look different each year. So in order to get a profile, so one thing, you need to get a nice image. Once you have the image up, you can go to grab the line tool, start at the middle, and go across the otolith. So I think most of what we're interested in will be right in the very central part here. So I don't think it's relevant for us to go too far out, but I'm going to go out here anyway. I don't know if the otolith grows at a constant rate over time. That is, there may be some compression of distances along there as the fish gets larger. It may add rings a little more slowly, radiating out from the center. What I've done here is I've taken the image we would expect for 3-year-old fish returning this year for a couple of the extended rearing strategies. So this is towards the center of the otolith here. This is towards the outside here. Both extended rearing at the hatchery on the bottom and extended rearing but at the QV pond have essentially the same mark. The only difference is there should be 4 out here instead of 3. If you look at the otolith thermal marks here, so I've kind of reproduced those here. This is for extended rearing at Issaquah Hatchery. This is at the QV pond. We shouldn't have these inner 2 rings for the fish that are unfed fry release. So again, it's a little bit hard to know what sizes these fish are. This was a later take. Oh, I see. Yeah, let me double check here now. So these fish are going to be, they were collected on the 18th and they were marked on the 4th. So that looks like it would be about age 16. These ones were harvested on the 10th. Okay, so these thermal marks are both at 16. So this should line up more or less with this, assuming growth is roughly the same. So this is going to be the part for what it looks like before the fish actually hatches. So for the extended rearing, we're going to have 2, a little pause, then 1, then a pause, then 3 more. For the unfed fry, again, you can kind of bump this up so it'd be a little closer. There would be 1, then 3, then 1. So there's not going to be an empty space here because these were started a little bit later. So pay attention to how old these fish are when you're looking for the marks. So let's take a look here. Actually, before we do that one, let's go do one of these marks. So I should see something starting at about age 16. Actually, I'm just double checking here a little bit. Yeah. So that's right. It's not age 16. They're older than that. It's farther out on the otolith. So they were collected on 11/10, and they were thermally marked on first time 12/26. So that would be 30. So that'd be about age 46 days. So they've gotten a little bit larger then, closer to hatching. That makes more sense. So after about 46 days of hatching, we should see a pattern that looks something like this. So I've drawn a line across those. This would be towards the center of the otolith. This would be farther out. It looks like most of the thermal marking activity is happening in here and not out here. I don't think there should be such dramatic changes in temperature as you get farther out, because by then they're already, they should already be hatched by then. So in order to see what the intensity looks like along there, you can go to Analyze, Plot Profile, and that makes a little graph for you. So it's a little bit counterintuitive the way this is, but down means it's dark. So we started over here. That's just the label here. So we'll skip that. But we've got dark, dark, a little space, then dark, then a space, then dark, dark, dark. So that's just corresponding to what the line is encountering up here. So it would be nice if things showed up that clearly always, but I just made this for comparison. So let's just leave that there. And we'll do a new one. Get a line. Now we'll do it on the actual otolith. And it'd be nice to find something where you don't have blemishes or some kind of weird coloration in the way. And try as best you can to go fairly perpendicular to the rings. I'm going to go out to about here. And I'm going to just drag it all the way out here just for fun, see what that looks like. All right, so then we will go to Analyze, Plot Profile, and we see, just kind of line up what we see with our eyes versus what we see on the profile. So it gets darker here, so that's why this is low. And then we've got 2 peaks. That corresponds to those 2 peaks. Then it gets dark, and then there's a peak, and another peak, and another peak. So, and another peak. So to me, these two look like those two. This one looks like that one. And these 3 should correspond to those 3. Then out here, let's just see what we've got. You can even compress this so that it lines up a little bit better. So there's those 2 peaks, there's that peak, there's 1, 2, 3 peaks. Might want to squish those in a little more. So it's not perfect, but it's pretty close to 2, 1, 3, and then it's a little harder to tell here, but I can see peak for there, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, so yeah, going out that far did make sense. So that actually matches pretty well with what we see here. So to me, this looks like an extended rearing fish out of the Issaquah fish hatchery. So it corresponds to this bottom pattern here. If we didn't have this 4th peak out here, then I would say it must be out of QV pond. So I will grab an image of this. Keep this in mind. This is about how far out we went on the otolith, just to give you a sense of scale. And then you can go back and look at your otoliths. Hopefully you'll find some patterns that make sense. If you feel just do the best you can and make a little pile of things that don't seem very clear, and we can look at them later, or just do your best to assign them. There shouldn't be any fish coming in from anywhere besides the releases that we mentioned.